Ready, start. There is no reversal of the title and possession of the state full stop. However, comma, this may not be true in cases where acquisition proceedings are still pending and land has not been vested in the government in terms of Section 16 of the Land Acquisition Act full stop. What is meant by the language of Section 27 of the BDA Act, that is, provisions of Section 36 shall become inoperative, is that if the acquisition proceedings are pending and where the scheme has lapsed, further proceedings in terms of Section 36 under bracket 3 of the BDA Act, that is, with reference to proceedings under the Land Acquisition Act shall become inoperative, full stop, once the land which, upon its acquisition, has vested in the state and thereafter vested in the authority in terms of Section 36 under bracket 3, such vesting is incapable of being disturbed except in the case where the government issues a notification for revesting the land itself, or a corporation, or a local authority in cases where the land is not required by the authority under the provisions of Section 37 under bracket 3 of the BDA Act full stop, this being the scheme of the acquisition within the framework of the State Act, read with the relevant provisions of the Central Act, it will not be permissible to bring the concept of lapsing of acquisition as stated in the provisions of Section 11A under bracket 3 of Land Acquisition Act into Chapter 4 of the BDA Act full stop. The provisions of Section 27 of the BDA Act mandate the authority to execute the scheme, substantially, within 5 years from the date of publication of the declaration under subsections under bracket 1 of Section 19 full stop. If the authority fails to do so, then the scheme shall lapse and provisions of Section 36 of the BDA Act will become inoperative, full stop. The provisions of Section 27 have a direct nexus with the provisions of Section 36, which provide that the provisions of the Land Acquisition Act, so far as they are applicable to the State Act, shall govern the cases of acquisition. Otherwise than by agreement, full stop, acquisition stands on a completely distinct footing from the scheme formulated, which is the subject matter of execution under the provisions of the BDA Act, full stop. On a conjunct reading of the provisions of Sections 27 and 36 of the State Act, it is clear that where a scheme lapses, the acquisition may not, full stop. This, of course, will depend upon the facts and circumstances of a given case, full stop, where, upon completion of the acquisition proceedings, the land has vested in the state under the scheme of the BDA Act, there are two situations, amongst others, where the rights of a common person are affected. One relates to levy of betterment tax under Section 20 and property tax under Section 28B of the BDA Act, while the other relates to considering the representation made upon drawing up of a notification in terms of Section 17 under bracket 1 of the said Act in regard to acquisition of building or land and the recovery of betterment tax, full stop, for determination of the rights and claims in this regard, a complete adjudicatory mechanism has been provided under the State Act itself, full stop. There is a provision of appeal in Section 62A, full stop. Further, the government and the authority are vested with revisional powers, full stop, All these provisions show that the BDA Act has provided for a complete adjudicatory process for determination of rights and claims full stop only in regard to the matters which are not specifically dealt with in the BDA Act, reference to Land Acquisition Act, in terms of section 36, has been made, for example, acquisition of land and payment of compensation, full stop. This also is a pointer to the BDA Act being a self-contained act, full stop. The provisions of the Land Acquisition Act, which provide for time frame for compliance and the consequences of default thereof, are not applicable to acquisition under the BDA Act, full stop. They are subsection 6 and 11A of the Land Acquisition Act, full stop. As per section 11A, if the award is not made within a period of 2 years from the date of declaration under section 6, the acquisition proceedings will lapse, full stop. Similarly, where declaration under section 6 of this act is not issued within 3 years from the date of publication, notification under section 4 of the Land Acquisition, such notification being issued after the commencement of the land acquisition (amendment and validation) Ordinance, 1967, but before the commencement of Central Act 68 of 1984, or within 1 year of notification. Stop.